Here's the story of 2020. It was a year for us to live in sync.
So many things that need our understanding. It's time for us to think. It's the story of fellow humans who were busy with lives of their own, but they thought of bringing us together, and we can watch from home. We can all make this world much better. It's about what we're willing to confront. So sit back and enjoy the conversation of these rainbow warriors called the Queer Bunch. The Queer Bunch. The Queer Bunch. It's a great day to watch the Queer Bunch.
Hey everyone, how is everyone doing? Welcome to the Queer Bunch, and here we are today again. I have my great and fabulous host with me. So we have Anton, Viviana. Hi, both of you.
Hey, sweetie.
So let's start off by saying, Anton, tell us, how have you been?
I've been good. You sure? You had to put the spotlight on me first. I've been good. I've been working hard. There's a lot of things happening, and everything I'm involved in. Inspire Awards is growing nationally. I don't know if I mentioned that on the last show. Yeah, we're gonna start celebrating community from across the land.
Wow.
And what else? If anybody out there wants this opportunity, I'm just gonna put it out there. We've been bringing on board, contracting a lot of queer artists across North America to work in media on being. I'm training a lot of people on. Well, basically passing on the torch of being marketing and advertising consultants. So it's a good little side gig for an artist who wants to do some stuff along with their arts and stuff like that. Other than that, I have a new concert coming up booked in Toronto. So on March 11th, so I'm looking forward to that. And I just got booked for Pride Toronto recently to perform on the Arabic stage. So it's gonna be a very busy 7 months ahead or stuff like that. Vivi.
That's
happening with
amazing
you?
news. Vivi,
Let's see. Oh my God, so busy. Like I was saying, I'm just literally running into my apartment and then just connecting. A lot of work, lots
of work.
but I'm good. At least it's not that cold, although we have a lot of snow out there. But it feels okay.
That's why I have this background, because the snow got me really pissed off. So yeah, I'm not on the beach, by the way, everyone, just in case you didn't figure that out. Cool. All right. Well, Ty, you invited our host, although we all know our host, but go ahead, introduce our host. Let's say hello.
hello. What about my introduction? Did you just forget that I haven't been
Oh
spoken
yeah.
about my
Do you have
week?
anything,
I mean,
you have
how rude
anything
is
to
that?
say?
Anton, you're fired. I'm taking over.
Do you have anything to say? You always have something to say.
I do. No, I mean, I would agree with Viviana. I mean, we had a couple of nice warm days, and I almost felt like spring was here. And then
Yeah.
bam, yesterday out of the blue. And it was so funny. Yesterday, I went all the way downtown towards the harborfront I was supposed to meet a new stylist to get my hair done.
Okay.
And when I left the house in the morning, it was quite sunny. It was good
Yeah,
temperature.
right?
So all I did was throw on a jacket and I left to go. And as I reached out and he was cutting my hair, and he lives in this glass kind of condo, so I could see outside. And I could see the hoots of
Oh, that's where it
snow
started?
falling.
Oh God, no.
And I was like, oh my God, I have to go home in this shit. And I left, and it was so cold, and I could feel every bit of it because he took out all
Yeah,
my
with
hair.
a fresh cut, it always
No
feels
scarf,
colder.
no gloves, no muffler. And I was walking in that cold for almost 35 minutes. I was like,
Oh
this is not a
no,
good
seriously, oh God.
Yes, that's the
Well, but
highlight
yeah, I
of
was
my
going to
week.
say, I would say it feels like we're all off to a very busy start of the year.
It is.
The
I think
energy, the energy after COVID, I'm just finding that a lot of people from the business world to volunteer world to the community, everybody kind of want to almost get back to feeling normal and feeling in action, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's also financial year end for a lot of us. Everybody's
That's
trying to
true.
wrap up
Yeah.
work.
Yep.
And speaking of work, I am going to introduce our fantastic guest today because, well, my guest is I know my guest on so many levels, and that's why I thought there was no one better to introduce today. So, firstly, I know my guest because he's an ex-ASAP employee, and we worked together for quite a few years, so we know each other pretty well. We're both part of the ASAP family, and that never ever changes.
Wow.
And now we also both work in the immigration sector. So both of us work with immigration and refugee claimant, which is amazing that we continue to be not close. And also we live in the same building. So we actually
serious?
are
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's my neighbor.
So I'm not going to waste any further time. I'm going to hand over the mic to Moe Akel, our guest for today, and let him tell us how was his week and a little bit about himself.
No.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ty, for this wonderful introduction. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. So my name is Moe Akel. I go with the pronouns he, him, and I'm the manager for settlement services at Access Alliance. Under my portfolio, I manage the LGBT program, the youth, and the settlement and newcomers. So as Ty mentioned, I used to work at ASAP, and we are in the settlement field together. As for my week, I feel like there's a lot of things happening on a collective level, but we all shall pass through this because we are resilient people. Thank you.
Yay. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Mo.
All right. Well, the topic today is going to be refugees and services. Is that what we're going to look at? Services available for refugees and how, and in Mo's experience, how it is to assimilate and work yourself into the local community and the local city and what have you. All right. Why don't we take a break, hosts, and we will come back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Tyler!
I just found out I've got HIV. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm scared.
Hey, I know you're scared. I've been living with HIV for 25 years, and with treatment today, I'm living a long, healthy life. You can too.
Maybe I will be okay.
I love my lips. My beautiful lips. I love my eyes. My beautiful eyes. I respect nature. I love all living things. Beauty is kind. I am beautiful. Love the earth. Love your life. Live life healthy.
And if you want me to, I'll join away with you. We'd fall in love. You'd be my boo. All I need, pants, shirt, and shoes. Leave everything.
Welcome everyone back to the show, and we just had a little break, and we're gonna. I need one of you to lead because you guys work in this field a lot more, and I'm looking forward to learning myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our audience also is interested in that. So where do we go with the conversation about refugees? Where do we start?
So I think, Antoine, I'll kind of just, because I think Viviana also works in the same field as me and Mo. And I think this has been one of the topics that's been widely discussed, which is immigration and refugees that are coming into Canada, and the support they require, the support they're being offered, and also the limitations they usually face once they get here. And I mean, to be honest, all of us are immigrants. We've all come here at some point of time or the other, and that's why we have immense respect for the land, immense respect for the indigenous folk that live here. But the fact being that
sorry to interrupt you, but that just begs the question in my head. Is there a difference between, I guess there is a difference between arriving here as an immigrant by choice or a refugee by a virtue what's happening in your country kind of thing? So maybe that's something to address. How psychologically, how is the feeling, the difference between the two ways of arriving to Canada?
Oh, absolutely. And I think all three of us, including Viviana, myself, and Mo, will be able to shed light on that. But I think I'll leave it to Mo for now to kind of shed that light on what the difference would be between coming here by choice and then coming here because you're.
Fair enough. Because I came here with family. It was a different thing. We knew where we were going and why we're going, kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Mo?
Okay.
Sounds good. So I would say, like, someone who is a refugee, there's something happening in their countries. They were forced to leave their countries. So that's why they look for a better life, for survival, basically escaping from trauma. It might be based on sexual orientation or gender identity, so they cannot be their true authentic selves. So that's why they seek asylum in a different country, in new countries as they will call home, because they will feel safer. However, if you immigrate, let's say on a working visa or for a student visa, this is a different pathway. So I would say that's the distinction between the two. One has some trauma involved, another is just to better your life because you have more ambitions, you want to have a better income, a better quality of life. So you apply for jobs in Canada, or you want to like study and invest in yourself. So that's different. Immigrating for work or studying purposes is different than when you're escaping war or trauma or based on your sexual or gender identity.
That's what I think. Is it probably scarier for a refugee because you did not want, originally you did not probably want to make that choice, but the choice was forced on you, so you're coming to a strange country. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think, and Antoine, taking from there, there's one question that usually I like to ask along with it. I think there's always this common thought process that people feel that, oh, when refugees come here, you know, they put a burden on the existing Canadian systems that are set in place, just because, you know, they're coming to a foreign land where they don't know anything. And I think people who work in immigration definitely know the struggles they go through, but also how resilient they are. And I invite both Viviana and Mo to shed a little bit of light on this, to just, you know, debunk that so-called theory that people have.
I've never felt that way, to be
So
clear.
that's a good point, Ty, and I'll chime in. So I just would like to say that like most of the refugees that come here are very highly intelligent because at least they speak two languages, or at least they have the will and determination to just leave everything behind, sometimes leave their families, start from zero, and also investing on themselves despite all the challenges they are dealing with and learning a new language. So I would say they are like fast learner, resilient, trying to adapt to a new community, and honestly, they help a lot the Canadian economy because they are the ones who are working jobs that sometimes like Canadians wouldn't be doing. So let's say like jobs in the food chain or jobs in the security field. So they are always helping the Canadian community, and as they integrate, they are a crucial part of it.
Thank you, Mo, for that. Viviana, do you have?
Laid out. Nicely said. Viviana, yeah, what's your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think one of the things, I guess, I will just sort of reframe the first stage of mentioning about refugees and protected person of our convention of refugees. Gets a lot of people think that people who have applied to become a refugee or have become a protected person, they come here as a refugee, and most of the time they actually just, there are a lot of immigrants who just came to Canada because they happen to know that Canada is very open and has a lot of laws on protection of when it comes to the LGBTQ community. And of course, they are fleeing their country or they're moving to this new country because they cannot survive or doesn't have the same opportunities in their countries. And then they will apply and then they become refugee applicants, which is the first stage of the process, until they become refugees or conventional refugee or protected person. And then that's where it goes. But there is a process and a difference of groups of individuals. There are some people who already come here as a protected person, which means they have been found eligible to come here for asylum or refugee. So they're not actually refugees. They will become refugees when they get here, but they come with their different status. So just for people to understand that they have a certain way of mentioning when it comes to immigrating, because immigration is just the process of coming from one country to the other. The stage of the process of migrating, that's a different part.
Sure.
Some people can just come here as even people are thinking applying for refugee, or people already found conventional refugee, and they can come here already with a status that the process has been heard somewhere else, and they're being found eligible to come here. And then now moving to that, yes, if I can actually give a big example, majority of the people who work in nonprofits, we are immigrants, we are refugees, and we are the people running this when it comes to that, because somehow we understand each other's needs, and we actually have that sort of self-relation with the processing of these individuals. And this is going to keep that continuous going, because many organizations support some newcomers, and then those newcomers like that work, and they stay in that position as volunteers, and then sooner or later they will get a position in that agency or somewhere else, and then they will become a staff or employee or another organization. And then so that's a thing that keeps going. And a lot has to do with the living, the life experience that you earn through the process that will make you earn that position.
Employable, yeah, on that, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, Anton, I know you said that you don't feel that way, but I mean, like a lot of us, we're working with people on a regular basis within the community, and I'm quite as shocked at times when I hear people coming from privilege saying these things.
Oh, I know. I'm very aware. I'm very aware of that conversation.
Yeah, and
you're burdening our country, stay in your country, that sort of thing. Yeah,
I've literally heard people saying, "Oh, we're paying the taxes and they're enjoying the perks."
No, I'm sorry, because I mean, I came here with family at the end of the 80s.
Yeah.
Back then, I don't know what the refugee situation was, but I don't think there was not as much need as there's a lot of horrible things happening in the world, and we have I mean, I lived here for 35 years versus much shorter in the Arabic world. So to me, I feel Canadian in a lot of sense, and as a Canadian, I think we have a beautiful country that if we have the resources and we can share it and get people to come here and have a great life and who can contribute to society, all for it.
No, absolutely. And that's why I think it's really important to discuss this, because I think it's that misinformation that a lot of people have, that they think new refugees or new immigrants for that matter, coming here are just reaping off government benefits, not working, and are looking for a handout, and that's not really the case.
But you said it's people with privilege.
It is people with, and that's probably where it comes from, right? I mean, there are a lot of people.
They don't want their privilege to be taken away by somebody else taking the resources, but the resources are plenty, and we make resources together. We create together as a society and humanity. Okay, well, I guess my question for everyone, because again, I'm not as experienced, is let's talk about queer people, queer refugees, and queer people coming here in that sense, and what's available to them when they get here.
Mo, I'm gonna let you start off with this answer, and then Viviana and I will.
Sounds good. So I just wanted to start by saying there's a lot of intersectionalities, because not everyone comes here as a refugee. Some members of the LGBT community, they come here as visitors or for studying, but then they realize maybe they are outed, or they feel like they found a partner here, or they can no longer go live in their countries because it's illegal to be a member of the LGBT community. So they apply for refugee status. They are called claimant refugees, and this process is very stressful, very hectic, because you're always living in this anxiety. You are waiting for your hearing, you need to go to court and get the decision. So that's where our role comes as settlement workers, especially who run LGBT programs. If they are participants in our programs, we can always give letters of support, and this way, if they have a lawyer or when they go to court, once they have this letter, it's a huge bonus or support to give the decision in their favor to actually stay in Canada.
Okay.
As for resources, like there's a lot of NGOs or community health centers that, in the settlement field, they help, first of all, with the translation, with interpretation, with tokens for transportation, referrals for available resources, because as newcomers, they don't know everything about the society or the resources available, but for us, we are like their dictionary, their Google. We know what's available, we have our own connections, and we know where to refer, sometimes even based on their area. So we know you are in Scarborough, we know these resources available in Scarborough around you, so that's where we refer.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes, and I would say, Anton, that process is very complicated because, I mean, even we work in the same field, and I'm sure Viviana will support me on that. One, it costs a lot of money. Two, you got to make sure that you got a really, really good lawyer, because sometimes
I was going to actually
talk to
say,
me,
so you have to go for an immigration lawyer?
yes, you do.
Okay.
I mean, because, and that immigration lawyer has to
Where
be
do
a
you
good
get the
one,
money?
because so they will make you pay over a period of time. They give you like a payment
So
plan.
there are plans.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, this is something that I've heard through the lawyer network, saying that a lot of lawyers basically will basically tell you that, yes, we're going to help you out with your process. You've got to pay $2,000 up front, and they make you pay it, but they don't really, you know, put in that much of an effort into your case. Because a lot of times when people have walked up
be
to
careful to choose your immigration lawyer. Yes.
Yeah, so you have to be very, you know, and that's why it's very necessary to have places like Access Alliance, like ASAAP, like the work Viviana does, because then you refer people to the right lawyers. Because otherwise, a lawyer can easily take the money and say, you know, tomorrow that, oh, I couldn't do anything. They rejected your case.
After they take your money?
Yes.
And
So
you probably don't have more money to put into another lawyer at that point.
And once your case goes through and you're rejected, that's, you know, the appeals and everything can really take a lot out of you.
I know that our community has a number of immigration lawyers that have been around for a long time and trusted and whatever, but I don't know all the resources. Is there any financial support to get legal, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes. So if you actually approach a lot of organizations that work in settlement, there are lawyers that basically either will work at discounted prices, or they'll look at what's your affordability and they'll help you out. Yes.
Oh, cool.
But as long as you're going through a referred lawyer, at least you're ensured that this person will help you out in your process, rather than just, you know, take the money and the next thing tell you, I'm sorry.
So
your
that's a
plans have
very,
failed.
very important step to make sure that you make the right decision.
I guess it's important to also speak about how sensitive are the lawyers to the topics of refugees, and how much knowledge they have about these people coming from these specific areas of the country. Now, not because you are a member of the community and then you happen to be a lawyer, it means that you have the knowledge of the actual sensibility to make sure that the case will be good enough. Now, I had always said this. Yes, all the lawyers are good lawyers, but not all the lawyers have sensibility about these topics. Neither do they have that living experience of working with this marginalized community. So, of course, you don't want a lawyer who is going to be learning through cases. You want a lawyer who is already well prepared, or in my case, a lawyer who is willing to be helped and support by an activist or a community member who is going to take the part that they do not know. And many of the lawyers will actually recognize and say, you know, I'm good at putting the paperwork together. I'm good at going to court. I'm good at representing, but I'm not good at making sure that the client feel comfortable and create a strong case. Can you help me with that part? So that's where we come in. Like my job, my work, literally, it's have a pre-screening consultation with the applicants for them to understand the whole spectrum, because it's not just go and apply and submit an application. I had always told the applicants that refugee is not an immigration remedy to obtain legal status in Canada. It is a protection because their life is in danger from the country they're coming from. Now, of course, if the case is heard positively, the answer is good, they become permanent resident, they do comply to other responsibilities as PR, and then they become citizens, then most likely will have more chances to actually have a proper integration in Canada and not have many disadvantages. Now, refugees or applicants or people who have been found with this person, they can lose that status if their the main reasons of their application have changed. They can lose it even if they have been found protected person or they have become PR. That's one of the reasons we make sure that our community create a very strong ties to the country, and they are very well integrated. So when something like that happens, they have another source of literally asking to remain in the country without the first step of the process. Now, can that happen? It depends on the courts. But there are a lot of things for you to understand, because a lot of people think that, oh, they're applying for refugee, they just want to stay here. It is a very long processing. A lot of people who come from different part of the country of the world, traumatized for some specific situation, they will be re-traumatized here, like it or not, because they had to revive everything that they went through, so they can be heard, and some decision can be taken based on the matter of their case that they're exposing to decision makers. So it is not an easy thing, and it is very easy to judge, but it's not easy to go through that. And believe me, only those who can stand, they go through those cases, and they had to be living it over and over again. Now in these days, before it used to be only one interview, like a small interview, now they have to go through 3 before even they get a brown paper that is very well known, which is the ID refugee. Every time they go, they had to be thinking that they will be asking the reason why they want to stay. So people really get re-traumatized just by trying to get into the system and trying to find a safe place. So there is more than just coming and applying.
Yeah.
Thank you for eloquently stating that. Okay, Ty, where do we want to? What's the next? So in my head. Okay, so you immigrated. What happens next? What resources are available?
Yeah. So I think we can. I think this is where the settlement services, in terms of what happens after when you come here. So say you've come in through a refugee process, or you've come in with your PR. A lot of the times, yes, you may have come in with those things, but you still are in a foreign country. You still don't know a lot about what to do, especially if you're coming here with English not being your first language. There is a lot of navigation that people that need support with. So I'm going to hand it over to Moe to talk about the various things that Access Alliance helps people navigate through. And then Viviana and I also can contribute as to what we do at ASAAP, and then what Viviana does as well. So Moe, handing it over to you.
All right. So thank you, Ty. At Access Alliance, in the settlement field per se, we help newcomers, permanent residents, and refugees in various areas. For example, a lot of them will need social or financial support. So we help them apply to Ontario Works, or sometimes they are dealing with some chronic conditions or mental health challenges. We also support them in filling up applications for ODSP. If you are needing to apply for EI, employment insurance, or if you are coming with family and you need to apply for child benefits. So we help them fill all these forms and applications. We also help them find employments, updating their resumes, cover letters. As I mentioned before, we also help with interpretation, with translation. We help them with housing because that's a major issue they are dealing. Unfortunately, a lot of them, as newcomers, they are dealing with financial challenges. So you would see a family of 6 living in 1-bedroom apartment, which is overcrowded and it's not very healthy. There's a lack of privacy, lack of boundaries, so it's not favorable conditions. So also sometimes they qualify for legal aid, so they can get legal support, affordable or even sometimes for free. So these are the areas we can support in the settlement field. Other than that, we have other programs at Access Alliance because we are a community health center. So we can refer for the food program where we can offer meals. We can refer to furniture bank. We can refer to other partners who, let's say, who specialize in employment, such as Access Employment or Toronto Neighborhood Group, TNG. So it's important to build a lot of connections, but not only that, we are speaking about one-on-ones, but we also have group orientations, or what we call workshops, where we share a lot of information such as financial literacy, or how to file your income taxes, or we also share a lot of information from the booklet called Discover Ontario or Discover Canada. That's usually people read or prepare before their citizenship exam. So we basically help them in the entire settlement process until they can stand on their feet. They can find good favorable housing conditions. They can find their employment. They can improve their language skills. And the end of the settlement process, once it's complete, when it's successful, you become a Canadian citizen. And that's after many years. So it's a beautiful process to witness because you're doing a positive change in someone's life. It's a very rewarding job. And it means the world to me when someone sends me an email later on, like, thank you, I never forget
Yeah, that must be
how you
nice.
helped me in this. So it's so heartwarming. That's
That's
why I
good.
love my job.
Cool. I was going to say, Mo eloquently surrounded himself by everything that you need, from contact information to phone number
Yes.
to.
As you can see, like we have the three locations, one near Victoria Park Station, another one near Kensington Market, the third is near Jane Subway Station, and we recently had an hotel in Etobicoke specifically for Ukrainian refugees.
Oh, cool. To clarify, Access Alliance is for everybody, not just for the queer community, right?
Yep. We have
So we
like
have
a
queer
LGBT
programs,
program.
obviously.
It's for families, the claimant refugees, convention refugees, newcomers, PR, seniors, youth. We have everything basically.
Beautiful. We're gonna go for Viviana telling her from her side what's available. Cool.
Yeah, when it comes to, I am an immigration peer support worker for Latinos Positivos in PWA, but also my own group called Vivir, because Latinos Positivos is mainly for people living with HIV. Then, of course, there was a big gap between people at risk and people living with HIV. So I took on my own to create Vivir, that now we have, I think, over 120 active members. And most of the meetings are at my place. So what we do is a support group of integration. Thanks of the relationship that I have been able to build with many organizations like ASAAP, ACAS, PWA, Latinos Positivos, I think Black Cap, all of them, right? I have been able to sort of, whenever I need something for the Latinx community, because it's something that I always keep saying, unfortunately, there's nothing out there for the Latinx community. And actually, I actually got involved in some drama because I was invited to an event to speak about what were the resources out there. And people were trying, or they thought that I was going to mention some places. And I just prefer not to, because unfortunately, through my experience, I have not seen yet something specifically done for the community of the LGBTQ community, right? They do have other communities, but the last census that actually was pretty good required in 2016, it was already 1 million of Latin Hispanic living in Canada, and majority of them were here in Toronto. So you're talking about a very large population, and then not having an organization willing to step up and then do something for the Latinx community is very sad. Now I'm saying this because unfortunately there's not so much resources out there for the Latinx community other than attending to communities such as ASAAP or any other communities who are willing to lend a hand and share the resources that they have available for this community, and then do their very best, because the main thing is the language barrier. Especially the Latinx, there are very few who actually are able to communicate in English or French. So that's one of the biggest barriers that our community is facing. But then when it comes to support, I guess I do literally all that what you guys are doing, but it's through connections. I do all the referral thingy based on my experience, because I'm a graduate immigration consultant. I can take on the cases and literally help them with the paperwork, applications, submissions, preparations, and sometimes even coaching for them to go through the whole processing and not to have a very hard processing dealing with. And then again, it goes to referral, but it is always the same thing, literally, what we do. I always have asked community members that are thinking or going to apply for refugee, please find a person, a peer who will help you through the process. Do not do it on your own. Do not also this is very good thing. Do not also listen to another community members who are telling you they know best, because they don't. Every case is different. Every case is unique. So it's very important. Yes, they can give you information where to go, where to get some help and assistance, but just that. Please, community members, I know you want to do something good, but refer them to a specialist, refer them to people who actually have the knowledge or have the resources and the connections to refer to, because they are actually trying to find a safe place, a place where they can guard their lives. So if you're trying to help them and that comes out negative,
and backfiring,
so it's just very good to have that in mind, that
That's good advice.
To find peers, always search on Google which organization is close to you. This is one of the good things about Toronto, that all the organizations know each other. So if somebody shows up in one place and they don't have what they need, they will send them to somewhere else. So that's the beauty about the connections of the organizations, and they're very well connected, and they will refer them. We know her feelings, and they will just share if they have something to
That's
do for
actually good to
them.
know. That's good to know. Yeah.
Agreed.
Does ASAP involve any programs that have to do with it? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so we
by the way,
settlement-
everyone, ASAP is one of our presenting partners, just to say that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Anton. Yeah, so ASAP also moved into settlement services, and we're in our third year, moving into our fourth year now. And of course, Moe was the one who kickstarted it as the manager of settlement services, and then passed the torch or that flame to
Your
me
baby,
last year.
your baby is growing.
So we both have a continuation of the services because it started with Moe and then it's come to me. But yes, I think in the last 3 years we've done phenomenally well. We're definitely not big players like Access Alliance, but we deliver services with the focus on the 3 communities that we work with, which is South Asian, Middle Eastern, and Indo-Caribbean folk. But if you realize these are the 3 communities where you get the most marginalized people coming into the country, and you do get the maximum number of refugees as well that come in from these 3 places. So yeah, our work has been very, very focused. We do offer similar services. We help people with their entire settlement process. We do help people with any kind of legal requirements that they may have. Being an ASO, which I think was doubled the benefits, because when they do come in as a settlement client, we offer them all the other services that come through ASAP. So be it educational services to help them integrate with attending workshops, social events, and connecting them to community, or if they come here and they do disclose that they're HIV, they automatic or HIV positive or living with AIDS, we connect them to the support team. They become a client there as well, and then they can access all kinds of support through the support team. Nice. And then apart from that, you know, we also have a great connection and great relationship with multiple people, just like Viviana said. We're connected within the community. So whether sending people to PWA, sending them to the 519, getting them help build shelters, getting them help with, you know, legal if they require. And a lot of us actually are from the countries that we work with. So most of us are South Asian, Middle Eastern, and Caribbean. So we have to connect back with helping with resources in terms of connecting with advocates and you know, activists that can give us supporting documents. So we bring that here for them and then hand it over when they're writing their stories. We also largely help with translation because we offer all our services in multiple different languages. So be it Arabic, be it Farsi, be it Hindi, be it Gujarati, Tamil, or English for that matter. So we have multiple volunteers also that help out with these situations. So I would say that yes, while ASAP has just put their footing about 3 years ago into the settlement field, it has been very focused and very unique with what we have to offer. And I think a lot of the clients do feel that level of comfort because when they do walk through that door, they're speaking to people who speak their language, they're offered food and snacks which are from their cultures, and they just get to, you know, relax. And I think it's very important. And I like what Moe and Viviana said, that community services that we basically all are part of is so very important right from the get-go for a lot of these people, because I literally see them walking in frail, nervous, and scared, and then like in a couple of months I see them comfortable, you know, especially if they're queer. It's so surprising. I met somebody about 2 months ago through the Immigration Services and Settlement team, and recently we were doing a photo shoot, and this is a queer person who came the first time dressed like all the way from neck to toe, you know, very, very guarded about who they were. And then they showed up with the shoes in a complete netted shirt and with earrings. And I was just like,
yeah, we made them gay.
You go. And it all happened because the level of comfort this person felt, you know, felt over the months.
What a beautiful stories.
Yes. I mean, when they walked in for the shoot, I was like, wow. I'm like, did you come dressed for the shoot? He's like, oh no, I just feel really comfortable, you know, wearing this over here. And I just felt so happy, you know, for that person.
We do have an open country that if you make those steps or whatever, and you start learning the you know, how to live here, I think I think you find a lot of joy in us in being part of the community, being part of the city, part of this country too. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say ASAP does offer all these services, and we're always looking out for
But
new people who are
with
coming.
ASAP, you cater to a certain demographic though, or background.
No. So with settlement
Everybody?
services, yes, with settlement services, it is everyone who walks through the door. However, if there are language barriers, we
Yeah.
will definitely refer them to places. Like if someone does come in who is Spanish speaking, I will connect
Yeah, I was
with
gonna
Viviana
say,
for
or
support.
Spanish speaking, or
Yeah.
Ukraine, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's a Ukrainian refugee, I will connect them with, places like Access Alliance or any other places that actually handle you. But I mean, a great thing now about ASAP is we've got funded to have 2 therapists on payroll. So from April onwards, we're actually going to have 2 new therapists that are going to be joining the organization. And so we have in-office mental health support for anyone who wants to
That's
access it
awesome.
for our clients. We're so excited that that's going to be available, because a lot of our community folk, I think the biggest issue they have is waiting to get a therapist to even have that initial intake. And now we can say, yes, we have 5 intakes happening a day. Please drop by. We're going to
Wow,
get
nice, good service.
yeah.
Where are we seeing as a country? Where are we seeing refugees coming from these days? Where's the biggest refugees coming into Canada?
So I think, Antoine, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think the next question that we were going to put to Mo was the crisis that happened between Afghanistan, and we were taking in refugees, and then the crisis that happened in Ukraine, and the Ukrainian refugees that started coming in. What I wanted, and I think this was something that you and I discussed, we wanted to shed light on the acceptance of the refugees coming from these 2 places, how the Canadian people have reacted to it, and what's the situation right now. So I'm going to probably hand it over to Mo before.
I'm just gonna mention something. I think Viviana, you wanted to say something?
But it is related to that, but just in a different border, border between states and Canada, that is becoming a big issue right now for a lot of people in the province of Quebec. To cross one of the only created port of entry for refugees that are fleeing the states into Canada, because that's one of the things that it's going, and it's becoming a big thing on the news, because the prime minister of Quebec doesn't want no more refugees. He has states that he don't want them anymore. In the other province up north, they're willing to take on the refugees as long as they're being reached out by this province, but they just don't want them, but also they don't want to let them go. So that's another thing that would be nice to discuss about, because other people doesn't really sort of understand what a refugee is and why actually they are here.
We got about 10 minutes probably on the clock. So why don't we take Mo, and then we can discuss that, Viviana? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mo, shed some light on what Ty was talking about.
All right, so I believe you mentioned about the Afghanistan and Ukrainian refugees. So, for example, I know we are helping a lot at the hotel clinic, the Ukrainian refugees. And one thing we keep hearing is like also the government of Canada is supporting financially one-time non-taxable payment of $3,000 when they arrive, and if they are 17 or under, like if it's a family with kids, they get $1,500. But in all honesty, this money can barely last them for a month or 2, So because like they already escaped the war, sometimes they come with nothing. They are already dealing with financial challenges. So they escape trauma, but then they are put in unfavorable conditions. They live in poverty. And as you know, like mental health is the main thing, and Ty even mentioned it. So I'm glad there's these resources now available at ASAP. Congratulations. So it's much needed, because you don't need to assume that they need mental health support. They definitely need it. They dealt with trauma. They escaped the war. They lost everything. Some of them even lost family members, loved ones. And it shouldn't be a privilege, because not everyone is able to afford it. And even if there's like free social services, there's a huge waiting list. So even if someone, let's say, is in crisis and they are calling the number, like someone, let's say, is suicidal, you have to wait on the line for hours and hours. So they fed up, they just leave it. So I feel there's a lot of systematic barriers that are not helping. Even like for language barriers, you don't see services that are tailored to a specific language. So that's my say for the moment with the Ukrainian refugees. The same applies, to be honest, with the Afghan refugees, because the main things are employment, financial challenges, housing, and in all honesty, they are also feeling like we didn't tackle it, but they are feeling isolated, lonely, because they lost everyone, they lost these connections, and they are starting from zero, but they are not in the good mindset, or like they are dealing with a lot, you know. So sometimes when they can depress, they don't have the energy to socialize or to interact with others. So this even exacerbate their mental health. So that's where our role come again in our settlement services, because we try to do our best. We try to build the connections. We send them to bridging programs to enhance their employment. We help them with translating some documents. We help them where to apply for accreditation for their academic credentials. So yeah, we do what we can. I feel like some of them have caseworkers, but the difference between us and caseworkers have a limited numbers that they take for the entire year. As for us, we help on a continuous basis. We help everyone. We try to fill this gap. And sometimes they tell us, like, we're trying to reach out our caseworkers, they don't reply, and they are grateful for the support we do. Even sometimes emotional support, just hearing them, that's all they need.
No, that's what I was saying at the beginning. Like when we arrived in Canada, it was like happy. We left Kuwait happy. We said goodbye to everybody. We got here, but it must be a different. It must be so scary, to come here and with all that baggage behind you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is this what you wanted to address, Ty? With this?
Yeah. Also, I did want to add, because I did attend one of the IRCC conferences last year in November. And I do see that there is a huge entourage of people that are working with both the refugees that are coming in, whether they've come in from Syria or Afghanistan, whether they're coming in from Ukraine. There's a huge entourage of people who've been working tirelessly, including community service workers, to help people settle in, to make sure that we're bridging all the possible gaps. But I do want to add and say that there's definitely a bit of a different reaction when it comes to the different kinds of refugees coming in. And I've seen this at the conference. Some of the statistics that we saw at the conference spoke very, very clearly about it, especially when we look at not just the main spots like Ontario or Vancouver or Montreal, but when we're talking about Canada as a whole, especially the remote spots, there is a big difference between which refugees are considered to be the acceptable or great refugees to have versus yes, absolutely,
acceptable
what we think are not the best. And I know that a lot of people have flat out, like a lot of towns have flat out coming out, like Viviana said, that we want rich refugees. Like we've had towns that have basically come out and said, oh, we want the Ukrainian refugees because they're white, they're blue, they have blue eyes, they're Catholic, they're just like us, they'll find it very easy to integrate. But we don't want refugees coming in from Syria or Afghanistan, because it's, they're not going to be able to integrate, and there'll be a lot more effort to going in. It was really disheartening for me, because I think it was literally my
have a catalog of refugees and you can select which refugees you want.
Yeah, this is like, oh, I want to design a baby, so let me put it up together. It was just a little shocking that in today's day and age, people were talking like that.
Compassion is compassion.
Yeah, and I do like the mayor of one town who basically came up and spoke, and he spoke about the fact that when when we were looking at taking in earlier refugees from the Gulf War and a lot of those times, their town opened their doors to multiple different refugees that came here. And he spoke about the fact that at one point of time, there was only one restaurant that offered food from a different culture. And the town was very, very white focused, very white restaurants. But with the coming in of all these refugees from different places, he said now it is such a cosmopolitan.
The diversity is beautiful.
There's so much of diversity, so much of food. Those refugees didn't come there and become burdens. They started their own businesses. They helped in school. They started with healthcare. And today they have a huge community, which is so blended and so beautiful. And I just love the fact that he said it, that it can happen if you open your hearts to everyone.
The kind of messaging that is needed more. Just taking a look is it the kind of country we want to live in, which is a country that, and that's what I love about Toronto. you see everybody when you go downtown, everybody and every culture and every restaurant.
Yeah.
And that would be beautiful to repeat in every town and every city too.
And that's the problem, because we are all downtown Toronto. We see this all the time. And for me, I automatically assumed it's the situation everywhere. Only until you attend these spaces and you're like, oh my God, no, it's not.
Okay. Viviana, does that relate to the topic that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, because it's very important to actually know what are the good things that immigration brings to Canada. Plus, we need to also remember that we need immigrants to keep growing. We have Canada, it's full of baby boomers, and they need, if they want to have that extra money after they retire, you need new people to work. So when you retire,
and Canada is not heavily populated. There's a lot of areas that could use that. You can just basically say, here, everybody take that city and build it up, basically.
Well, I think it's the government is working on that very slowly, but there is, people need to understand that we do need immigrants to come to Canada. We do need those people.
That's a great message.
And what a best way to do that, bring in the people who needs to settle for safety nets, and people who really wants to make this the best of their lives, building something safe for them, which will be safe for others. So if you are helping these individuals who wants to settle for good and to change their life in a safety environment, it means that they will create a safe environment for themselves and for the ones around them. So there is a lot of things.
I really like that message, Viviana. I was going to say, we're all on this screen. We're all POC, I guess. But I'm sure we have a lot of our audience who are not. And I have to say, even as an immigrant who landed in the happy environment that I said, when we come here and we are given opportunity, I feel that we work harder and we're more appreciative and we love the country that opened their arms. So there's a lot of love in there. Don't discount refugees and immigrants as a burden. They're going to probably give you a lot more of their heart to this city and to this country because it opened its arms to us. I mean, Dad hates it when I say I would go to war for Canada before I go to war for Lebanon. I was like, oh, fuck off. because Canada gave me a lot more than Lebanon. I'm sorry, but it opened its arms, gave me a career, whatever. So when we give people that humanity, that career and life and a future, they give back. Look at everybody who's on the screen, hard workers, really giving back, really contributing to the economy. And it's a wonderful thing. So yeah, I'm all for refugees coming more here to Canada. So yeah.
I love what you said, Antoine, because as they say, home is where the heart belongs. And I feel the same. Like, I love Canada more than I love Lebanon. Like in Lebanon, I lived in hell, and Canada gave me like a new opportunity. So
safety,
definitely I would go to a million wars for Canada.
Thank you. I'll introduce you to my dad. You can fight with him instead of me.
I don't need a new war in my life.
my dad still curses the day that I brought them to Canada. You dragged us here. It's like, oh, shut up. You had a good career here. Shut up.
It would be nice to send a message to the viewers who are out there who probably doesn't know that much about refugees, or the one who knows where is the place of an agency organization, because this organization needs a lot of support. Newcomers from refugee really needs a lot of support, because even Moe has mentioned the support that the government is giving to them, and it's not enough. They don't have enough food, they don't have enough clothes, and they are lack of resources when it comes to big families.
Thank you. Yeah.
The organizations cannot take everything on their own. It will take community to lend a hand to their fellow communities, because those people could be gone and maybe will become your neighbor or your loved one. Remember, we love diversity. You never know who you're gonna end up in love for. So just help each other. Like, we would like to be help. Reach out to organizations or community agencies of support groups who are working with refugees and lend a hand. How you can support, because we do need that support.
That's beautiful. Lots of beautiful messages, Guy. And with that, we're gonna take a little break. I will come say goodbye. Okay. we're back from the break. That was a good discussion.
Yeah.
I feel warm and fuzzy at the same time. I feel like I understand the challenges that some people coming to Canada may feel, and that we need to try to help and be compassionate and be welcoming and all that. So, Mo, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Just wanted to add one important point.
Please.
Because not everyone is aware, all the settlement services that we provide are free. So newcomers, don't worry about financial issues. We are here to help for free.
Yes. And most of the settlement working services that are available within the community are all available for free, no matter which organization you go for. It's just a matter of reaching out. Just reach out. That's
and from the sound of it, anybody watching and needs the help, is they will, if you don't reach to the right organization, they'll get you on the way to the right organization.
Yeah.
So, or the people that will help you. So this was a fantastic episode. We're going to be welcoming new hosts as we move forward. So we'll be introducing you to a new host on the next episode, maybe two. We don't know. We'll see. All right.
Because we always post these videos on YouTube. And I know that's the main sources for newcomers or refugees to find information. More likely, they will end up watching this video. So if you have a comment, you want to get information, always come down below on the video. And the people who is managing social media will get back to you, because YouTube is one of the main sources of information to collect when they're trying to come here. And I know as soon as they tap immigration or refugee, this video will show up. And people from all around the world will be able to watch this information. So
thank you. Actually, that's a great thing. I was going to add to that also. Get in touch. Just send a message to the Queer Bunch. We're all very versed in the community and very connected. If we will find where to connect you. Okay. With that, thank you, family.
Thank
Have
you
a lovely night
for
Thank
today.
you, all the Queer Bunch. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
yeah.
Bye.